You know, whether we're watching this in replay or we're watching it live, let's just hold this intention for this evening, that everyone that's listening to this, whether we are live, whether we're on replay, that we as a collective are not just held here for ourselves, but that we are also using the collective amplification of so many of us who are the light bringers, who are such bringers of love into this world, that we are sending that out as we are coming together. So we're not just here to hold space for us. As we hold space, we are also using our own energies to send love out into this world. We've had a lot of turmoil happening, you know, especially this week with the shocking news that's going on in the Middle East, but also continuing news from, you know, here in Europe and other wars around the world. And there's a lot of turmoil going on. So I was talking to the crew earlier on about how we can best use our collective energy. And we are not going to lose anything for ourselves if we also hold that intention that we are going to be collectively radiating love out into this world, because something magical happens when we get a group of powerful people together. You know, we don't just amplify ourselves by the number of people in the group. We get exponential amplification. So when we come together, we are not just holding space for, you know, the other 10 or 20 or 50 people that are together. We're actually holding that exponentially to give ourselves such extreme chance of being remade and reset by the coming together of each other. So that's what we're going to do today, because as we said last week, as the crew very nicely explained to us all last week in their channel, when there is so much pain in the world and it seems too huge for us to deal with, what can we do? And we do what we can in the life that we have, in the community that we have, in the way that we can bring. So that's what we're going to do. So thank you very much for joining me in that. And you don't have to do anything. It's all being taken care of by the crew and by our own guides and collectives as we all work together. So back to another little bit before I move on of just a little bit of housekeeping. I am going, before I begin, just to do a very blatant offer to you today. So you're just going to see something pop up into the chat there. I'm not going to go into great detail. That is not the purpose of this collective at all. But I just wanted you to know that if you are intrigued or you have worked with me directly one-to-one with the crew before, the doors are open right now for the Warrior Mentoring, which is 6 months of one-to-one work directly with you and the crew to help you expand and to help you go through these exponential collective, you know, awakenings that we're all talking about here. So there's a link in the chat. That is as much as I'm going to say, because it's not the purpose of today. But if you are interested, please click through and have a look at that. So we're going to come back to today. Now, as usually happens in my world, when I'm getting ready to do something like this, something very weird happens, which triggers off a line of questioning or a line of pondering in my world. And those of you who've been following me for a long time, and a lot of my friends know that I am the world's best ponderer. I do love a good ponder. It is my favorite thing in the world to do. And so I was out walking the dog this morning, and in the middle of this giant cow field, there was no cows in it, you'll be pleased to know, in the middle of this enormous, empty cow field that I was walking through with the dog. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch a little glint of something weird. So I started wandering over to it, and I thought, that's really weird. I don't know what that is, but it really drew me in, and I knew I had to go and investigate it. So I'm wandering over to it, and what it turns out to be is one of these absolutely giant helium balloons in in bright red, metallic, but it was empty. It had obviously been let loose, or it had caught the air from somewhere. And it just was in the middle of this field. It was really bizarre. So I went over and picked it up, as I do, because obviously if you live in the countryside, you don't want to leave things like that lying around. So I picked it up, and I'm holding it, and I'm turning it upside down. I'm going, is it an L or is it a 7? Couldn't quite work out whether it was like a 7th birthday or whether it was an L for love. Maybe there'd been like the word love written in helium balloons somewhere. And then my mind went off on a ponder. My mind just went off into a million different potentialities of where this could have come from. So I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, did that just come from my little commune, like just down the road? Or did that come from somewhere like hundreds of miles away, and it had just randomly been deposited in the fields that I was walking through that morning? Like, how far had it traveled? And what was it? And what did it mean? And what were the meanings behind it? And why was it bought in the first place? Was it an L, or was it a 7? And then I'm looking and I'm going, was there a seventh birthday party somewhere? And I'm envisaging a load of kids together for a 7th birthday. And then I go to a different potentiality of like a wedding, or an anniversary or something like that. And a whole different collective of people came to mind in my imagination. And I was really amazed by how many different potentialities and where my mind went to in all of these different intricacies of what this meant, what it could have been, where it came from, and what was the story behind it. And then all of a sudden, I went off onto a whole different level of pondering. Again, those of you that know me know that this is not unusual. So I went on to a whole different level of pondering of, if I'd have seen that and I didn't have any concept in my head of what a helium balloon was, what on earth would I have thought that was? How would I have reacted as a human to finding something so utterly bizarre in the middle of grassland and trees, to find this sheet of metallic strangeness, this shiny thing in the middle of nowhere? Where would my mind have gone then? Like, what would the human me have gone as, what is this? And when we have like something like this come into our minds, it's so easy to actually just see all of those connections that the crew talk about a lot with, whenever they're doing one of their channels through me, and we're talking about different potentialities, and we're talking about letting in the new, and how everything that we create in this world, everything that is part of our reality, we are creating because we've already experienced it. Like, I knew what that was because I'd already at some point in my life experienced helium balloons. So I knew my brain could figure out what it was. But what if my brain couldn't figure out what it was? What if I'd had no reference point to it? And what then happens to me as a human being when I witness something that is completely brand new? And who do I want to be in that situation? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be curious? Do I want to go and discover what this is? Or on the opposite side of it, would I have been afraid of it? I don't think I would have been, but I don't know. Something that unusual that I'd never seen, that was so out of context. As a human being, we are quite programmed to be in fear of the things we don't understand and the things we can't reference as something that's already been part of our consciousness up until that point. So just have a little think about that now, of all of that thinking, all of that concept of creation that just came into being by finding that thing in a field, and how that really helps us to understand all of these concepts that we hear from the crew who are outside of this solid linear manifest world, who are trying to help us to understand that everything that we see and we judge and we create from is all because it's already happened before. It's all because we've had a reference point of it, that we know what it is. And so then we feel safe to go and figure out what we can do with it, and what was the story behind it, and what does that mean to be, and where has that been in my world before. So I don't know how that balloon got in that field. Maybe it was just a miraculous thing that the crew and, you know, the universe created so that I could just have this ponder this morning. But it is intriguing, isn't it? And it leads us really into the conversation that I've been guided to open up tonight. Tonight for me, whatever time it is where you are in the world. This difficulty that so many of us are having right now, that we know that there are different versions of us. Like, we kind of know that there's this split thing that's going on in who we are, of, you know, this deep angst because the humanness of us feels really stuck, really stuck, because maybe what we're really efforting in the world just isn't necessarily working out the way we think it should. Or we don't know who we're meant to be, or we don't know which way we're supposed to be going, or we don't know what it is, and we can't make sense of it. And we just need to know what it is, so then we'll feel okay in doing the thing. But at the minute, it just feels like I haven't got anything to grab hold of. Does that make sense? Does that ring any bells with anybody? Because what's happening is the humanness of us is finding it more and more difficult, because this elevated version of us, the energetic version of us, is already in a higher realm of consciousness, is already in a higher vibrational state. And that version of us doesn't have the same attachments, doesn't have the same, you know, angst and desire to stay in the what's already been. That part of us is already leading us into this world of just be. You'll know, just be. But human fuckery going on up here makes us feel like we're completely stuck. And some of us have felt like that for years. Let's be honest, put your hand up. Like, you know, some of us can feel like this has been our state of this entire frustration and split of, I know I'm here for something, but I don't know what it is because I can't see what it is. But that soul version of you is going, it's not going to be what has already been. It's not what has already been. So that's what the crew have guided me to open up and talk about tonight. So, you know, I don't know where we're going to go, to be honest, apart from just knowing that this is the general direction. So for me, I have this every time we have one of these sessions. You know, my My higher self, my higher knowing knows it's all going to be okay, that the crew are going to show up and I don't need to worry. But human me is going, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? Because I've got no idea where we're going. So on is it a micro scale? That's what's going on with me. Macro scale, that's what's going on with the world. Anyway, I'm going to get out of the way and I'm going to let the crew come through. We will have time, hopefully, for questions at the end. If anybody has got a question that you'd like to bring to the crew today. I don't know if Beverly is here tonight, but we had Beverly on last time and she'd asked a question about fear of change, really. And I know that we're going to cover that today in what we're going to talk about. So if any of you do have some more questions, I did get some questions through by email. If I don't get any more from you live today, we'll pick up some of those. And yeah, let's see where we're going. So I'm going to take my glasses off. I always feel like I look like a completely different human without my glasses. Thanks for being here, Anna. Love you. Anna's just left the room. Right, so with that said, let's see where we go. Welcome to you all once again. And we are, as usual, very grateful. We are extremely grateful for each and every one of you who has decided to spend a little time in your own sanctuary for yourself. It is evening time here, but we wish for you to be reminded that you can create sanctuary for yourself at any time, in any day, in any moment. It is not necessary to make an appointment. You are all powerful bringers of light into this world. That is why you have been drawn to this collective. This is why you are all resonating at this frequency of curiosity and this frequency of highest love, we shall say, highest purpose here. And at any time you require a moment of reset, we would ask of you to simply allow yourself to stand for a moment and close your eyes for a breath or two and remind yourself of the light that you are in this world. With so much occurring, especially in this moment, where new turmoil has sent ripples around the world, and more fear has been triggered, and more pain has been rebirthed in many. It is easy to lose yourself in the complexity and the solidity of what already exists. And we would advise you to come back into your own light as often as possible. As we described to you in our last conversation, this is how you assist in your most powerful way, is to indeed tune in to your own powerful resonance and choose to share that with this world as often as possible. And there is simply an intention required to shine, to let your light into this world. And as you walk in your community, in your family, in your place in this world, you as the part of the millions of connected light bringers now, who each are choosing these magnification moments, we shall say, you are all shining light positively and powerfully into a network around this planet. It may seem that it is too big for you to deal with alone. And we wish to remind you once again that you are not alone. You are one in millions. Powerful beings who have all chosen to be here, to change and be holding the space for the resonance shift of this planet. And you are all feeling it. Those of you who are highly empathic will be feeling the turmoil deeply. And this again is a reminder. When you are feeling that turmoil internally, reconnect with your light. When that feeling of the outside becomes too much to bear, go in. Remember your own light. Amplify that light by connecting with and grounding with the space of resonance that you are, as we described in our last conversation, and allow your powerful light to shine. And that networked with the millions of others truly is making a change in this world. And indeed, the turmoil that you are witnessing is a outpouring, a remembering, a readjustment, a purging, if you will, of all that is held within the solidity of what already is in this solid, linear, manifest, created world and existence. And you as the new, you as the bringers of the new through your own light, you are holding space for the new to arrive, for the what is not this to arrive. That is indeed a powerful imagery to remember. You are allowing in the what is not this. Because there are so many conflicts that are intertwined into what already is through eons of history, eons of oppression, eons of power over, of shift, of dispute. All are intertwined in what already is and what already exists as the pattern and the blueprints for this world and humanity. And you know, as one of the light bringers here, that it is time for a change. It is time to bring in what is not this. It is time to bring in the new resonances that do not hold such conflict. Allowing in the new that is not simply a repetition of the old. And on a smaller scale, indeed, you have had shared with you a story already today of remembering the difference of what is this, because you have witnessed it, you have been a part of it, you have experienced it. And also knowing that it is capable within each and every one of you to recognize that there is a not this. And in the not this, you are always held in a place of uncertainty. You are always held in a place where the humanness of you cannot validate, cannot create from, cannot recreate from the space and the repetition of what already is. We often share through this channel that it is as if you are in a space where all of the roadmaps are gone. Because a roadmap simply shows you what already is. Now is the time for you, as the leaders of light here, the bringers of light here, the bringers of the new here, to allow yourself to be held in this knowing that you are here to bring the new. And it feels like a responsibility. But what is that responsibility if it is not a human reaction to what already is? But the soul side of you, the side of you that is of the new, the side of you that is here holding a resonance that is already shifted from the already existing, that part of you that is already at that level of light of the new, that part of you knows. That part of you is at stillness. That part of you is of the knowing that you are simply in your being, simply in the light of you, being all that you need to be in this moment. And yet, the humanness of you that is embedded and embodied in human form is still within what already is. And so the humanness of you is at turmoil in some ways, because it does not know how to drive itself from this higher consciousness space of being unsure, being unknowing of what is the correct thing to do. And we are sure that you are feeling this within yourself, for most of you listening are at this space. The parts of you are integrating more and more. The humanness of you, if you are listening to these words, you are and you will have been working on yourself in many ways. You have been becoming who you need to be to hold the new light and resonance of the new. The journey has been one of awakening for all of you, one of transformation for all of you. You know that you have worked on your reactions to the world. You know that you have been working on how to find peace within yourself, how to find more love within turmoil, how to honor yourself, how to bring more love to you, how to bring more love into this world. And part of that process for many of you has been to embrace the gifts that you have. Embrace the parts of you that are healer or teacher or guide or empath or communicator or messenger or painter or creator or visionary. All of the gifts that you have, all intertwined in your human framework, you have been committed to investigating those. Many of you know you are more than the human framework that you are sitting within. Many of you trust this more than you trust the humanness of you now. This is the transformation that so many of you have been undergoing. And in that transformation, in the ownership of your gifts, what has also happened is that you have created identity around those gifts. You have created potentially businesses around those gifts. You have chosen to create the I am a labeling of you because of those gifts. And yet, here we have another example of embeddedness in what already is. Because the higher resonance of you, the newness of you, the new vibrational essence of you that is already in the expanded state knows that there is no requirement for labeling. There is no requirement for identity of this is what I do, therefore I am. And in the I amness, there are levels of awareness of self, of what you bring to this world, of the reflections back to you of how others see you, how you are witnessed, how you are seen, how you are felt. And in that ownership, you are also now feeling a shift. So many of you who are drawn to this channel now and who we work with are finding yourself at a point where the I am labeling of your gifts is no longer feeling as if it is as rewarding as it used to be. We know that this will make sense to many of you. And many of you have held tight to the labeling of yourself and the ownership of I am in this world. And you have continued to try to force through the creation that it is that you have been taught that is in alignment with what already is. And in the already isness, in the solidity of the already created, there are resonances now that you are no longer wishing to be a part of. You have chosen, that is not who I am now. That is not how I wish to be in this world now. That is not how I wish to create more of myself in this world now. And yet, the holding on to that is creating turmoil, is creating in many ways this feeling of stuckness. Because you know that you are no longer that at a certain level, that you do not wish to perpetuate the ways of working. And by this we specifically mean the embedded belief within this world, one of which we are here to bring a new understanding, that the more that you resonate with the brokenness of this world and you as a healer of that, and to bring a fix for that, the more that you are perpetuating the brokenness. And we will just let that sit with you for a moment. It may be the first time that you have heard that. Because in this world, you have been taught that as a healer, and we say this in the broadest terms, not specifically just those who heal in the mechanics way, but as a bringer of change in this world, what you have been taught is that there is a problem, there is a brokenness, there is a fault, and you are here as one who is here to heal it, to bring a fix for it. And many of the teachings that you will have been through will have reinforced this in you. Whether this be on the marketing of your businesses or in the learning of the techniques, you will have been shown how to respond to a witnessed brokenness and how to bring a healing. Now let us step out of that into the higher resonance of you now as the light bringer here, as the bringer of light here. The previous I amness of you, we can say, has been of the energetic frequency of the physician, of the healer. No matter what it is that you are doing, you have been bringing through fixes to brokenness. Now, as the light bringer, as you step out of that, and you are held firmly and understanding deeply, and knowing and witnessing within your resonance now as you hear these words, the higher essence of you that knows that you are here and enough, bringing the light of you. You see that from this version of reality that is bringing in the new, the creation of fixing perpetuates the broken. Because even when something is healed, It always has within it, as a pattern within the weaving of the reality of this world, it always has within it the pattern of it was broken and now it is imperfect or fragile. Do you see how the patterns have perpetuated themselves? And in many ways, this is what you are witnessing in this world. The fixes that have been made in society over eons, the making do with the fragility that has been put back together so many times, the perpetuation of yet another fix being required. And so this is why so many of you now are feeling less attached to the previously understood I am a labeling of you. Feeling less attached to the identity that you were as a bringer of the specialism that you have chosen as your healing. And it may be that you bring healing to this world through your voice, or through music, or through energetic healing, or through being a visionary, or whatever it is that you have found your label within. And you are feeling less and less attached to that now. And yet the humanness of you is feeling the draw to recreate once again what has been, because that is the pattern that has been woven into this world as the way to create. And so how can you now allow yourself to create from the new? Firstly, by witnessing. If you are feeling any turmoil within yourself, if you are feeling any recognition within yourself, allow yourself to witness that now. Allow yourself to let into your consciousness what have been the patterns of the past. And allow yourself to be compassionate to yourself, but you will not reweave those patterns again, and now you have witnessed them clearly. As we have said previously, everything is up for renewal now. Every single piece of this pre-woven, pre-existing, solid, linear, manifest creation of reality is undergoing such a transformation that there are those humans here that are still creating from what has been, and then there are you the light bringers, that in your questioning, in your witnessing, in your allowing yourself to be different, in allowing yourself to recognize this is not who I wish to be, this is not how I wish to create, this is not how I wish to perpetuate this world. You are allowing in the new. And from that space of recognition of the light of you and the power that you bring into this world to create from a new space, to remake yourself each day, to allow your ties to be renewed each day through the choices that you make, by allowing yourself to create from this space of stillness, this place of knowing, this place of awareness. There is always within you a next step. It may feel as though it is the smallest of steps forward. And the humanness of you will take that idea and it will try to weave it into what it can validate within what it has already experienced. And there we have turmoil again. Because the two parts of you are out of resonance, in dissonance for a few moments. But where do you wish to create from? In that moment, this is the question for you now. Many of you listening have been living and working from a space where you are a creative. And how often have you had an idea and you have brought it down and you have validated it against what already is, and it has not been created? Imagine now if you were to allow yourself to create that which comes through you as an inspired idea in this moment, inspired through you into existence, wishing to be birthed through you into existence. Imagine that. And this is the explanation of how you are feeling this turmoil of stillness and stuckness in the same moment. And we hope that we have allowed you to find a little peace in that for a short while, to recognize within you these two patterns of resonance and how they are giving you choices constantly of how you wish to be in your next breath, how you wish to create in your next breath, how you wish to perpetuate this world in your next breath, how you wish to bring more light of you in your next breath. And we would also like at this point to say to you that many of you have been creating from this space for many years. And you have felt frustrated because that which you have been creating may not have felt that there is an audience for it yet. But look around you now at what is being created, and you will find that those things that you were being called to create are quickly being consumed now by the world, because you have been called to create the answers to the questions that had not been thought of yet. And that is the joy of you as a light bringer here. The experiences that you have undertaken in your own awakening, in your own unfolding, are being shared in this world. Just by the being of you, you are transmitting this new energy frequency of the new, and that which you create will find a place in this world in quicker time now, because this world is moving so quickly, and those coming behind the resonance expansions that you have already been through are requiring of the teachers and the guides, but you are not welcoming them as broken. You are welcoming them in an entirely different resonance, in their own perfection, of where they are in that moment. This shift from healing and fixing the broken into bringing the new to allow space for those that are coming next. This indeed is an entirely new place to create from. And we hope that you can feel that within you now. You have indeed been held in a resonance of expansion this evening in this conversation. You have all been shining brightly toward each other and also out into this world. Not from a space of broken, but from a space of radiating light, from a space of radiating what is new, from a space of radiating that there is different to what already is. And from this space, remembering on an individual scale that when we are in the new, it is always uncertain, because there are very few of you here now. This is why it is important that you find collectives such as this, where you can remind yourself and hold yourselves in the remembering of what you are, when you are not walking as the embedded, embodied version of you within the human sphere of what already is. And we hope that we have brought a little peace to you in this session here today. What we would invite you to do now is to sit in this energy with us just for a few moments and shine your light. Feel that light emanating from inside of you. For the light within you is coming from outside of. It is coming from the new. And allow that light to emanate from you, to radiate from you, feeling itself as a part of the intricate weaving of the network of light bringers, the network of the light that you are. Shining into that space of resonance that is above, beyond, further, distanced, and new. Allow yourself to recognize that powerful light that you are. And hold that for a few moments. And now we invite you to return to your edges as your human self. To find the edges of your human form. To feel yourself remaking into your human self. Held within this being for this brief existence of the experience of the life that you are. and becoming more solid and into yourself. And yet remembering that light that is within you, that newness that is within you, that you are bringing to this world, and the powerful work that you do by bringing that to it. And with these words, and as you come back into yourself now, for this moment, we shall step back. So, as you are coming back into yourself now, I hope that that was really helpful. So come on back, grab yourself a little drink if you've got your cup of tea or glass of water or whatever it is, and just come on back into the room. And if you're here live with me, pop me up a little message and let me know how that was for you. And especially, you know, if you are a spiritual entrepreneur, we shall say, just let me know how that went for you, how that felt for you. It was really interesting. Even as I'm doing the channel, I can really feel that sort of separation of the two resonances of me within the humanness of me, that even I could feel that we were being shown really, really clearly. Thanks, Kate. So, how are we doing? I always get an itchy nose. Always feels really weird to me when I come back and it's just human me talking, because I can kind of, I'm part of the conversation when the crew is speaking through me, but it's very different. And then little old human me comes back afterwards, and I'm talking about itchy noses and all of that sort of humanness. My tea's cold now and all. Ugh, dreadful. So I'd invite you, if you've been listening to this, you know, even if you take that away with you and just sit with it for a little while, because I know that that has been something that I've personally struggled with as well, and a lot of the people that I work with struggle with as well, is this: how do we create from new? How do we do that? You know, it's this question, isn't it? Because human eyes is always, yeah, but how do I do that? Yeah, but what does it look like? But how do I create that? And as soon as we go, yeah, then we're back into this angst feeling. So the practice then becomes to go back into that place of, who am I when I'm not that? What am I when I'm not that? What am I without the labeling and the identity? Who am I? And from that space, there is always, always something that we can do. And one of the things that I say to so many people, and it's really, really important to remember this, that it's only in the being and doing of ourselves. It's only when we're actually doing and being ourselves and creating and bringing our healing or bringing our writing or bringing our creation or bringing whatever it is, it's only when we're actually doing that that we can find that grain of, yes, this is me. It's like a self-perpetuating fire. And if we don't actually do it, if we don't actually do the work, I know for myself, if I don't channel for a little while, I feel like I can't channel. I get really doubtful of how I can do this work. I start to really doubt myself. But as soon as I do it, as soon as I make it my practice, you know, and if I need it, I literally will, for my own healing and my own self, I'll grab a notepad and I'll start scribbling and just let a channel come through. Or I'll put a post out to my friends and go, anybody need a channel? Because for me, it's the doing that actually is my own healing. And unless I'm doing, unless I'm actually shining my light and creating from the space of me, I doubt dreadfully. I lose that fire. And it's in the doing of it that the fire gets lit and gets sparked. And we feel like, yes, this is me. Yes, this is me. Yes, this is me. So if you're a healer that's not healing, you're always going to feel out of whack. If you're a writer that's not writing, you're always going to feel out of whack. If you're a channeler that's not channeling, you're always going to feel out of whack. And you're always going to feel like you can't do the thing that you really, really want to do. So the practice is to recognize that the being and doing of what our gifts are is our own healing, is our own fire, is our own, you know, way to reconnect to ourselves all of the time. But one of the patterns is, you know, that obviously we've a lot of us, as the crew have just said, created businesses around this. So there's all sorts of, like, I can't do it if I'm not getting paid for it stuff. You know, it's like I haven't got the time to be doing it if I'm not getting paid for it. So then I'm going to spend all of my time doing the marketing to create more ways that I can do it, instead of just recognizing that that healing that we need is in the doing of it. So to find somebody to allow yourself to heal, or allow yourself to send healing out into the world, or just to write, or to find a creative way of being you in the world, it's so super important. And I forget it as well. I forget this. And then all of a sudden I'll recognize that, oh, I haven't done any channeling for a couple of days. Of course I'm going to feel like I'm not there anymore, that my light's not there, because I haven't done my own healing by doing my own work. So self-perpetuating spiral of fuckery going on there. Oh, Noel, thank you very much. That's really nice. Carolyn, question. How do we draw down the energy, information, connection from our higher selves? Well, I used to have an answer to this. Okay. So what has shifted fundamentally right now is actually this question. So Carolyn, I'll just say this out loud. Carolyn has asked the question, how do we draw down the energy, information, connection from our higher selves? How do we draw that down? Now, the way that we have been taught in the past was higher self was outside of us. Idea was outside of us. It's an outside of us intelligence that we're tapping into to allow that idea to come through. So we would have all of these ways of, sitting in the power, allowing yourself to reach up or reach down, or whichever way you wanted to go, depending with whether you were shamanic or angelic or whatever it was. We had all of these ways of teaching that we need to reach out of ourselves for the answer. But the way that the crew have been teaching me for many years now, and what they bring into this world, is the answers are in us, because we are now bringing through us the answers. We're bringing them through us. Instead of looking outside of us for like, what do you want me to create? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to put into the world? We're actually going, what's inside of me that wants to be born? What is the thing that I'm being drawn to now? What is this moment in this breath drawing me towards? And the way to practice this is to actually practice it in really small steps. To just put your hand on your heart and literally breathe and go, what am I drawn toward doing right now? And know that there will be an answer there. And sometimes it's going to be as simple as I want to go and walk outside, or I want to go and pet my dog, or I want to go and look at the stars. And it will be very small things. But what we've done is we've kind of trained our human selves to always think that higher intelligence, that wisdom, that the universe is outside of us. But this new way of being now, the resonance that we're in now, that all of us are here as the bringers of, is that the creation comes through us. And that we are an embodiment of divine self. We are that bringer of the light into the world. So it's recognizing this practice of what's coming through me. What do I want to create? What am I drawn to? And that's how we bring through that answer. And like I say, it's a very different answer than I would have given you a few years ago, because I was also trained in that old way of sitting and calling down answers from a different space. But this is completely switched around now. And once we actually recognize that we have this power, and when we're talking about the light within, it's kind of that energy. If you're listening to this won't make any sense, but I'm kind of just using my hands to go. So anyway, that's as good as I can do with it. I hope that made sense, Carolyn. Yeah, it's practice now. It's practice of what am I drawn to creating? What's coming through me? What feels like it wants to be born now? And a trusting in that you're going to go the right way. So there you go. So I think I'm just going to grab my phone 1 second, because I did have another couple of questions that came through on email. So okay. So first question, these came through from Helen. Who are the crew? I'm not sure we actually answered that in the first recording. I think we did. The crew are a collective consciousness. So I've been working with the crew for 20 odd years now, and it started off in a very small way. In many ways, in a way that I've just been talking to with Carolyn about, of just following those desires that are, what's next, what's this piece, what's coming through. And the collective conscious that comes through me now are outside of the created manifest world of the existence of reality as it is now. So yes, I know we did actually talk about this quite a lot. The crew actually explained this quite a lot in the first channeling. Now I'm remembering it with my human brain. Also, I've had an awful lot of techie squiffles because we managed to start off in Mercury retrograde. Yay! But we're out of that now, and the library is just about ready. So I'm going to be sending you a link very shortly to an online resource area where there's going to be a library of not just these sanctuary sessions, but there's going to be some other recordings in there as well. And one of them is specifically the crew talking and answering this question of who are they? And they can say it a lot better than I can. So you'll be getting that one very soon. Yes, Kate, techie squiffles. Okay, next question. May sound like a very earthbound question, but on whose authority do they speak? Well, here's the thing. I'm sure that they will answer this in greater detail, but on a human level of being the channel for the crew for all these years, I would say pay attention to all of the learning and the created reality that we're in, that we need to ask that question. Because one of the profound elements that the crew bring through in every single conversation is always that we are the authority in our own reality. So, are they of light? Absolutely. Do I absolutely 100% trust that they are here to bring us all to a higher rate of resonance and light in this world? Absolutely. But trust yourself. Feel into yourself what you're feeling when you're held within the presence of the crew, and that will tell you. Learn to trust yourself. Trust in this connection. Trust in this collective. And very, very quickly, we'll get to a point where, hopefully, on this world, we don't need authority to speak anymore. Be nice, wouldn't it? As you were connecting with the crew, I noticed a fleeting smile on your face. I wonder if there's some private exchange going on. Well, actually, it's interesting, but I actually feel myself smile. So when the crew step in fully, obviously you sort of witness the breathing where I'm getting out of the way. And there's a moment, if you can watch it next time, there's a moment where that full energy comes through, and I always get a little smile on my face at that point. And I don't think it's actually me. I think it's just that is the physical transformation that occurs when I'm in that different energetic space. So yeah, I always have a smile on my face when I'm channeling. And it's usually just one side of my face. And my ears wiggle a little bit on the inside. probably too much information. Anyway. Can anyone do this? Is this a capacity that we all have but have not developed and are not using? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone has connection to their own what's not this. Now, obviously, I've been practicing for a very long time. I have one of the parts in the first sanctuary session that we did, I went into quite great detail about how the pathway of trust has been developed. But yeah, we are all now in an interconnected resonance of existence where we are tapping into and feeling so much more in this world. So we are all feeling the world around us in such an intense way now that more and more and more of us, you'll see them, you know, you'll see people becoming channels. You know, the language of being an intuitive now is just part of, you know, it's part of normal life now. We've got intuitive business coaches, we've got intuitive finance, we've got intuitive everything. So what does that mean? Yes, it means that we are all recognizing that there is more than just what's going on up here. We all have gifts of being able to connect to higher source. And I say higher, but higher and lower doesn't really mean anything when we're moving into these spaces. That's human fuckery. But yeah, we can all channel, and you know, probably it would be really good at some point. I will actually do something for the library of how to connect with higher self, how to connect into, you know, your own channeling, how to channel yourself, how to channel beyond humanness. So thanks for the idea. So that's cool. So has anybody else got any other questions? Because I've talked a lot now. And I actually felt that full channel there that we did, that was such a big channel. And I actually still feel like it's resonating in me. I don't know if you're feeling the same. So I'm not going to tap in to the channel again for answering some questions, but one of the things that I just wanted to say is we really are capable, as the unique human beings that we are, each and every one of us, we are capable and we are able to stand in being what the crew tell us we are. And they repeat and repeat and repeat that we are powerful, creative, divine beings of light and light bringers in this world. And we are capable of being that. We don't need permission from anybody else. We don't need to look into what already exists to validate that. The intention and the knowing that we are that, and to start to walk in this world as that, and to know that every single person that we meet, as the crew say, is changed by who we are and how we bring ourselves into every meeting, every situation in the world. And once we can trust ourselves that we are bringing that, we are bringing light, even when we feel fragile, even when we feel a little bit under the weather, even when we're feeling like we're having a bad day. We having a bad day is, I'm recognizing I'm having a bad day. And we're moving that about in the world where so many people don't even have the ability to recognize that they're having a bad day. So do you see how no matter what state we're in as humanness, if we recognize and we bring the intention that we are light in this world and that we are powerful enough to shift this world by being the part of this networked millions, we can really do some great stuff. And it's not that difficult. And it means that no matter what job we're doing, it means that no matter how we pay the bills, it means that no matter what situation we're in the world, we can still be that. And I think that is the greatest gift that we can give to this world, honestly, is to allow ourselves the permission to believe that we really are that powerful. So with that, I'm just going to invite if anybody else wants to ask another quick question or to let me know how this has been for you today. I'm just going to remind you once again, I do have an offer available if anybody would like to come and work with me one-to-one with the crew. It's called the Warriors Program, and it's one-to-one mentoring for 6 months where literally you get to have conversations with the crew, and it's epic. It's really epic, the work that happens and the transformation that occurs and the fun that we have. Because, you know, the crew can be a bit sassy when you get them on a one-to-one level. It can be really funny. So with that, thank you so, so much if you have joined me live. If you have joined me on the replay, I hope that you found that equally as powerful to listen to. And I will see you again next month for the November Sanctuary session. I think there's a bit of a time zone change between the UK and the rest of the world around that time. I'm not sure. So I'm going to make it very clear in your emails what the time zones are, but just be aware of that. And also just be aware that I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. So just be aware that you are amazing. And I love you lots. And thank you very much for joining me. So I'm going to skedaddle. Right. Ciao for now. Thanks, everyone.